Welcome to Business on Top, where women are building empires, becoming breadwinners, and redefining the dynamics of their households without a playbook. I'm Kaeli Lindholm, mom, wife, founder, and leadership advisor to a portfolio of female-owned businesses generating over $100 million in annual revenue. Most business advice was never designed for women leading and building at this level. That's why each week I'll open the vault and share a leadership lesson from real experience, so you can navigate the decisions you're making every day with confidence. If you're a serious female founder and leadership feels messy right now, you're in the right place. We are rewriting the rules for this next era of how women lead and build. This is Business on Top. Let's go. Hello, leader. Welcome back to Business on Top. It's your host, Kaeli Lindholm, and welcome back. Today, I want to talk about a lesson that has become increasingly relevant as more women are building businesses, generating wealth, and really becoming primary breadwinners and making larger financial decisions than ever before. And that lesson is this: never outsource your financial intelligence. Now, before we get into this conversation, I want to reassure you that I'm not going to tell you to quit your day job to become your own accountant, nothing like that, because one of the most important things I've learned as a business owner is that building wealth requires support, strategy, and the right people around you, no question. But what I am saying is this: there's a difference between having experts support your financial life and just disengaging from understanding your financial life because someone else sounds smarter than you. And I think a lot of high-achieving women unknowingly do this because at the end of the day, very few of us were actually taught how to think strategically about money. I personally was raised by a father who constantly told his daughters to never rely on a man for money. And that belief has informed the way I built my financial independence, which is honestly kind of ironic because my mom retired when she was around 50 years old, and my dad fully provided for our family and for her until he retired into his mid-70s. But regardless, this idea that I needed to be capable of supporting myself was very deeply instilled inside of me. I've always had a job or an income stream, my own bank account, and a nest egg that I could fall back on a rainy day. So I kind of thought that I was all set. But I realized as I got older that financial independence and financial intelligence are not actually the same thing. See, being able to earn money is one skill set, but understanding how to steward it, to protect it, to grow it, invest it, and direct it, and make intelligent decisions around it is an entirely different ballgame. And many of the high-growth women we work with at KLC, they were taught how to earn, but not taught about financial literacy. Growing up, very few of us were taught how taxes actually work, or how to analyze profit, how to invest money, or how to build wealth outside of simply earning an income, which is freaking insane. We definitely weren't taught by our mothers how to evaluate whether a business is financially healthy or how to ask intelligent questions in financial conversations. And because most women were never taught financial literacy in any practical way, many of us grew into success while still just quietly and subconsciously feeling intimidated by money conversations that were happening around us about our own income. And this is more common than you think. And truthfully, this was me. I've shared before that when I first started making good money in my career, I actually had a really difficult time even keeping it. And for years, I thought I had a money problem when in reality, I had like this worthiness problem. I think subconsciously, I didn't fully trust myself to hold significant wealth. And that showed up in all kinds of ways: overspending, avoiding certain conversations, not wanting to look too closely at numbers, and feeling embarrassed to ask questions I thought I should already know the answers to because I had a business degree and I owned a business. There's a particular kind of shame that happens when you're successful. You're used to being one of the most resourceful people in the room, but you privately recognize that there are topics that you don't fully understand. And I think this is true, especially around money. And so we lean on the experts and we just tell ourselves, well, my accountant will handle it, or my CFO will tell me. I hear all the time, I need to go talk to my accountant, right? My advisor knows best. They're the expert. And while these people for sure matter, what I've learned really the hard way is that you cannot build a life-first business while remaining emotionally disconnected from the numbers that are driving it. at some point, financial leadership does become your responsibility. And our decisions become more consequential as our health, revenue, and really opportunities and responsibilities grow. And I've made expensive mistakes because I didn't understand that. I've had accountants who were technically filing taxes correctly, but not proactively helping me think strategically about tax planning, which resulted in me dramatically overpaying the government for years. I've had filing issues that created long-term consequences because I assumed someone else was just fully overseeing things. I have hired a fractional CFO who at one point advised me that my payroll percentages were too low and that I should be paying my team more aggressively. And because I respected his expertise, I listened. And the problem was he understood finance broadly, but he did not fully understand the nuance of my business model, my culture, or the sustainability of those compensation structures and growth runways that I was building. And I ended up massively overpaying in certain roles in a way that cannibalized profitability and later required painful compensation restructuring conversations that impacted the emotional health of the team. Now, I'm not sharing this to villainize experts. I still have a powerhouse money team today, and I believe very much in having one. But I really want to share my experience of what I have learned, which is that delegating financial tasks is smart. Delegating financial awareness is dangerous because no one will ever care about your financial future the way that you do. They won't fully understand your vision, your goals, and your energetic state, or your values as intimately as you. And I think one of the most impactful things that happened for me as a founder was changing my relationship with money and awareness around its relationship to my business and life. It's energy. The numbers themselves are not emotional, but the stories we attach to them are. And I hear all kinds of these stories in coaching relationships. I'm bad with money. I'll never understand this. I'm not good at numbers. I make money, but I can't keep it. Rich people are greedy. What else? Making money requires more exhaustion. I mean, you name it. Have you ever said, I'm not good at business? I hear this all the time. And these beliefs shape the leadership decisions that we make more than we realize. Reminder that your relationship with money influences far more than just your bank account. It impacts how you hire, spend, negotiate, invest, price your services, and build cash reserves. It informs how you tolerate risk and lead through difficult decisions. It shapes whether you operate from clarity or avoidance, whether you overextend yourself emotionally inside the business, and ultimately whether the business becomes a source of freedom or a constant source of pressure. All of it. And I think part of modern female leadership is learning how to sit in the presence of money without shame or fear. Now, one thing I do believe strongly is that building wealth is not a solo sport. Like I said, you absolutely need support around you. You need to have your money team, but your money team should support your intelligence, not replace it. And I think understanding the purpose of each of the roles of the people on your money team matters. So for example, your bookkeeper is there to maintain accurate records and help you understand the financial reality of your business month to month. They help organize transactions, reconcile your accounts, track spending patterns, and maintain visibility into your numbers. Your CPA or your accountant is there primarily for compliance and tax filing. They're typically looking backwards at what happened financially, helping ensure that you report things properly. And I kind of cringe when people say, I need to ask my accountant. Remember, their job is to protect you from the government, not to grow your business. Many founders mistakenly assume that tax filing equals tax strategy. It does not. A tax strategist is someone who proactively helps you structure decisions in ways that legally minimize unnecessary tax burden and optimize long-term financial positioning. It's a very different role. And a CFO helps you think forward, cash flow planning, forecasting, profitability, operational efficiency, and financial modeling. And as your business grows, this does become very important because revenue alone can become incredibly misleading. I've worked with founders generating $1 million annually who are taking home more profit than their colleagues who are generating $3 or $4 million annually. Why? because one founder built a healthier machine while the other simply built a bigger machine. And there's a difference. Growth and scale are not the same thing. Now, I also want to say something important here because I've personally experienced challenges around this in my own business and seen it happen with clients as well. A CFO's job is often to manage risk, but sometimes that can unintentionally create overly conservative decision-making if the person advising you does not fully understand the role that leadership development, mentorship, coaching, brand positioning, or strategic growth investments play in long-term enterprise value. A great CFO doesn't just help you cut expenses, they help you make intelligent decisions about where investment creates future return. Sometimes the highest ROI decision a founder can make is strengthening the leadership, operational infrastructure, and strategic thinking capacity of the people inside the business. You've heard me say the best way to grow a business is to grow the person running it. The goal is not simply to save money. The goal is to build a healthier, more profitable, more sustainable company over time, and a leader who has the capacity to hold that level of success. Now, a wealth advisor can help you think beyond earning income into long-term wealth creation, investment strategy, asset protection, retirement planning, and how to make your money work for you instead of simply sitting stagnant. Because I'll say it again, saving money alone is not a wealth strategy. And this was a major mindset shift for me personally because I grew up believing that saving money was the goal. And while building savings and cash reserves is incredibly important, especially as a business owner, I eventually realized that simply parking large amounts of money in a traditional savings account is actually a terrible strategy because if your money is earning a lower interest rate than the rate of inflation, your purchasing power is actually shrinking money over time. So anyway, what did they say? Savers are losers. I don't know. Anyway, what I mean by that is that money may technically still be sitting there, but what that money can buy you years from now continues to decrease. And once I understood that, I started thinking differently about the role of money altogether, not just as something to protect, but as something to strategically direct. Learning how to thoughtfully invest, diversify assets, and allow money to work while I work was a completely different level of financial maturity than simply earning and saving alone. And again, my advice isn't to become an expert in every financial category, but I do want you to become engaged enough to ask intelligent questions and honestly dumb questions, because that's how I think I built my financial literacy. I just allowed myself to feel stupid at times asking the questions that I thought I should know the answers to, but didn't. And that's what financial confidence actually is. And this is a huge part of what we teach inside of the Pop Leadership Academy, not just how to grow revenue, but how to think like a CEO, how to understand the operational health of your business, to measure profitability, build healthy compensation structures, understand cash flow, and understand how to make decisions from clarity instead of emotional reactivity. At the end of the day, the goal is actually not just to make more money. The goal is to build a business and a life that creates more freedom, more options, more stability, and more impact. And the truth is, the more income you generate, the more responsibility you have to carry around how you steward it. Because your financial freedom can become the catalyst for your ability to impact change in all the areas of your business and life. And that should mean something to you. And part of this new era of female leadership is learning not just how to make money, but how to hold it, how to protect it, and how to direct it. And that is leadership. Okay, leader, I hope this conversation was helpful today and maybe even gave you a little permission to get a little more honest with yourself about your relationship with money, your confidence around financial conversations, and the areas where you may need to become more engaged inside of your own financial life. Because you don't have to know everything to become financially powerful, but you do need to stay connected to the conversation and surround yourself with women who think, walk, talk, and take action from a place of empowerment. Before I wrap today's episode, I think part of taking ownership of your financial future also means taking ownership of the infrastructure that either protects or drains it. Because one of the fastest ways founders unknowingly cap profitability is by building businesses that are still overly dependent on them operationally. Are you feeling triggered here? A business where the owner remains the decision maker, the problem solver, the emotional regulator, and ultimately the bottleneck for nearly everything. And eventually that creates a very expensive leadership model, not just financially, but mentally. Because when your brain is being borrowed all day long, your ability to think strategically about growth, profitability, hiring, investments, and the future of the company starts shrinking. You may become trapped managing the business instead of leading it, which is exactly why we created the Operationally Excellent Practice Manager Audit. So this is a resource that we designed to help founders really identify where their operations are strong, where there are gaps, and where their practice manager may need a little more structure, leadership development, or just clearer accountability. Because operational excellence isn't just about efficiency, but it's about building a business that can sustain growth without requiring you to personally carry the weight of the whole thing. So you can download the Operationally Excellent Practice Manager Audit for free through the link in the show notes or at klcconsultants.com/excellentpm. Okay, leader, thank you for joining me today, and I will see you next time on Business on Top. If you are listening to this and something in you is stirring, I want you to know this is exactly where the work begins. This is the space between where you've been leading reactively and where you are being asked to lead from a new framework. And the truth is that next level of leadership doesn't come from more information. It comes from putting yourself in rooms and environments that challenge how you think, how you decide, and how you show up inside of your business. That's exactly why we built the Pop Leadership Academy. It's a space for founders who are no longer looking for surface level strategy, but who are ready to evolve how they lead, how they build, and how they scale so the businesses they create can fully support the life they want to live inside of. You can learn more about the Pop Leadership Academy and apply through the link in show notes. And in the meantime, get more inspiration delivered directly to your inbox through my weekly briefing, The Blueprint, at klcleadership.com/blueprint. Until next time, keep leading life first and business on top.